Peterborough's community radio station, Salam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to Friday Night Prime, live here on Salam Radio. You are tuned in to 106.2 FM and joining us live online at salamradio.co.uk, as well as YouTube, Twitch and Facebook. I'm your host, Akil Khalil. And over the next hour, we've got a really insightful conversation lined up, focusing on business, purpose, and early childhood development. I'm delighted to welcome Safina Akhtar, Director of Bright Bombini Montessori.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Safina has built a career around nurturing young minds and supporting families. Tonight, we'll explore her journey into business, her passion for early years education, and later in the show, an important discussion around autism in young children. You can get involved by calling 01733 602 133, or you can text the show on 07411 191 062. We'd love to hear from you. Safina, thanks again for joining me this evening. Can you tell us about your journey into business?
Yes. Firstly, thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here. So my journey in my business, it was actually a hobby originally, a passion, a calling as a mother. So it wasn't business originally. It was really a mum struggling to find an education system, a childcare space that she felt lined with my personal values, my Islamic practice, and from that it turned into a business.
So before that, what were you doing? Were you just a mum?
No, so I qualified as a registered nurse in adult nursing. I did that for over a decade. I had 3 children during that space of time as well. So I went from general medicine to care of the elderly, acute care, before I decided to take a 2-year gap, a break, to look after my 3rd child.
And I suppose when you had that gap, is that when you started to think about the 3rd child's future and how your experience from the other 2 children was going to affect what you were going to do next? I guess,
Absolutely.
You're an adult nurse. You got your 3rd child. You're having your break. You can't really say you had a career break because you're looking after a young child, of course. And but what inspired you to take this particular path going into nurseries? Because you have that other experience working in adult care. You could have gone into other areas of the NHS, I guess. But what inspired you specifically to go into nurseries?
So when I had my 3rd child, those of you who are mothers out there will understand it's a big juggle. So I decided to have the 2-year career break so I could really take care of him. And I also felt there was a bit of a guilt from my first 2 of going work full time and juggling everything. And honestly, we as mothers, we try being full-time work and home life and the other commitments in between. But there's always that little guilt that did we do enough? And because we've left them in childcare to some degree. So with the 3rd one, I wanted the 2-year break, but I also knew with everyone having to pay mortgages and bills to pay and lifestyles we want to lead, that it was time to go back. So when my child turned 2, I had spent a long time learning about how I wanted to grow up my child. So I decided I'm a reader. I love reading. So I would research and read into how the best way it is to take care of the child, give them the understanding and curiosity approach. And then I found Montessori while doing my research, and I became what I feel is a Montessori mum.
Okay.
Some people were quite surprised because my living room turned from everything being up there and all tidy, typical Pakistani family, to all the toys being their level, their eye level. They'd be able to take what they want and put it back. My kitchen was completely transformed to the extent where my husband was saying, "Do we live in a house or a nursery?"
That's brilliant. So many people will resonate with that.
Yeah, so I completely disengaged myself with, having what our culture would see as a clean house and putting all the toys away to absolutely everything being about him. And then it was time to go back. And anyone who's a mum would feel the guilt of going back and then wanting the best for the child. So you'd make this long list of what you'd want your childcare to cover according to your values. For me, it was a boy. So even little things like, I've taught my child to sit down on the toilet when he goes toilet. Will you do that for me? And then as they would be like, boys do stand here, so we wouldn't go out of our way to sit them. Well, that goes, in our religion, the splashing of that urine on their legs. And so what I'd learnt in my 2 years was anything a child learns from 0 to 5 is who they'll be as a man or a woman when they grow up. They will always go back to those 0 to 5 years. So for me, they became the most critical years of his life when I knew that. So it wasn't as easy as, okay, he'll do that at nursery, those values, and when he comes home he'll have another lot of values, and I'm teaching it at home. I really needed the bridging between home to home.
Which makes complete sense.
Yeah, so from that we decided to start looking for nurseries, very open-minded. I try to be nice, so always, ask in scenarios. So I'd go in there and I'd ask a question like, my son, it's time for reading, because a lot of nurseries do time for everything, absolutely everything. Very robotic. So I said, okay, it's time for reading. My son, bear in mind, he's only 2 years old, doesn't want to read. He does not want to read that book. So what would you do? And they would say, reading's really important. It's really important. It's in the EYFS. And so we would, we'd get him all excited, we'll engage him, and we'll bring him into the circle. And I just thought to myself, which part of he didn't want to read it, don't you get?
Yeah, well, you were clearly not listening.
He didn't want to read the book.
Yeah.
And then again, in Montessori, the idea is if they don't want to do something, it's okay, because the whole classroom, the whole, like I say, my home environment is one big learning environment that's prepared for learning. So anything he would touch or be a part of or explore would be learning too. So who decides which learning they should do first, the child or the adult? Because they have the authority and they're big, and they can have that authority and that ego over the child because the child is dependent. And I just felt that does not align with my values. So to cut it short, me and my husband visited, I think, at least 15 nurseries. Wow. And every nursery, I say to my husband when the viewing, no, you can't go to work. You'll have to come with me because I need them to know that we're both involved in this child and he's really special to us. Yeah. And you need to go with that image. I think that was all in my head, to be honest, the guilt going on.
Did he buy that from you?
Of course he did, yeah. Otherwise he'd have to work his own cooking out for that evening, wouldn't he?
I see.
So we went from one place to another. Yeah. Different, similar reasons of why it was not right for him. I need the curiosity approach. I need him to be able to be free. He's only 2 years old. He's not 20. He's going to go university and have to sit down at some point, or even school. So we just went round and round. And by the time we reached, I think it was literally the 14th or 15th nursery, he said to me, well, you may as well just open your own nursery because we're not going to find one. And guess what I did?
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's fantastic. I guess, would you say that almost all of them disappointed you in a similar way, or they were different, they just couldn't cater for what you were looking for?
It was definitely in different ways.
Okay.
Some it was more related to the type of staff. So they would show me around and those elements I'd like, and I would be happy to compromise, because at that point I wasn't thinking of opening a nursery. I was thinking of, I'm a deputy manager running a ward, I need to get back. Yeah. I've done my acute care modules. I'm actually training junior nursing. I'm working towards becoming a manager. The manager already said, that is something I have potential for. So I was very career-minded. I always have been. So it wasn't something I was picking and looking for. But at the same time, I'm a mum, and I just had to make sure he was happy before I left him.
Yeah, because like you said, you know, the other two and the experience you had as a mother was you felt that guilt, didn't you? So it's like, you know, I can't go through this for a third time.
No.
I totally understand. Can you share more about this? You know, a lot of people don't understand or never probably heard of the Montessori approach. Could you tell us more about that?
I can. We could be here for months because I'm very passionate about
Did you
this.
say for months?
Months.
Wow. Okay.
So I'll try to suppress it to a few minutes. Montessori. So first, it's probably important to mention Montessori herself. So Maria Montessori, a beautiful lady, going back 100 years, a Catholic lady, a very strong Catholic lady, who also was a doctor, a medical doctor. And then she also was interested in child psychology. So if you can imagine a kid 100 years ago, can you imagine a female being a doctor? You know, it was not heard of.
Wow.
She really fought her space to be there.
Yeah.
When they were doing, the practical assessments, she wasn't even asked, would you like to have a go? It was almost like, oh, she would not know what to do.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
Yeah.
But she's decided, she's paid her fees, we'll let her stay there. But she became a very successful doctor. But she started having an interest in children with learning difficulties. Unfortunately, in those days, the word they used was retarded children. That's what they called them. And that really put questions in her mind of why these types of children were labelled, and the label was negative because it meant they would then go to a children's home or a children's centre, maybe, I'm not sure, to live there, but a centre, and they were cut off education from the society. So they were deemed as they can never progress, they can never develop. So let's not put them in any school. Let's put them in an area for childcare purposes and supporting their well-being. And we'll keep the children who are neurotypical in a classroom, in an ordinary school, and they're the ones we're going to teach, and those are the ones we're going to develop. So when she saw this as a doctor, she felt that, no, this can't be right. Every child should be able to develop. Every child has the potential to learn. The brain is always developing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't stop just because it may slow down. It may have areas it extends in and really kind of blows up in and is really, really good at. And then there's areas that need support in a really deeper level. So she then went on to learn child psychology, became a child psychologist, and then opened her own Montessori. And what she found is these children who were... So she gave up her time and she worked there full-time, more than full-time. She would work there from 8 to 8 for 5 days for 3 years.
Incredible.
Just to find research, just to observe them and see what they like to touch and how they like to learn. And she then came up with this Montessori curriculum that we know even today. And what happened was, in her time, the children that then used this curriculum with her presence, and then she taught it on, these so-called, children that were left behind, by the time they reached 7 years old, they were academically the same average level as any neurotypical child.
Amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
100 years ago, we have this woman fighting against the system, and she could see, well, she had a vision clearly, where she wanted to help people, but of course, in her lifetime, and now clearly beyond her lifetime. That is absolutely amazing. Let me know what you think there with Safina sharing the story about the Montessori journey and how it's come about. You can call us on 01733 602 133, or you can text the show on 07411 191062, or comment on our live streams. That has given me goosebumps, I'll be honest with you.
It is. It's a very heartfelt story and reality, and I feel every child should have the opportunity. My child's not neurotypical. It is neurotypical. But being a nurse, I don't know if it's nursing or whether it's just me. I just feel, wow. if Allah's given you the ability, we should be there for them.
Absolutely.
And then what happened was she then realized the neurotypical children liked the same resources and further developed to become above average. And then the Montessori curriculum became universal for both special needs children, what we know as special needs now, SEND children, and neurotypical children, working hand in hand together with exactly the same curriculum and developing the children at their own pace, yet their development is vast. Unfortunately, in this system, we do not like Europe, where the children go to school at 6 or 7. It falls short for Montessori because we've only got up to 4 years to get them ready, which is not
enough time.
It's not the whole amount of time we need.
Okay.
Masisondele, phila noxolo yelele.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. You can say it once or 100 times or more. You'll feel a peace inside and it'll open every door. That's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart. Know you will be loved by the merciful one. 'Cause that's the power of remembering Allah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. So much you can gain just by saying those few words. You can renew your faith and be showered in reward. Oh, that's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart. You know you will be loved by the merciful one. 'Cause that's the power of remembering Allah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu akbar.
Masisondele kuyuwala. Okukhulu usitho. Sizothola ukuphila.
That's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart. Oh, that's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart. And know you will be loved by the merciful one. 'Cause that's the power of remembering Allah. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah Allahu Akbar.
And that was The Power by Maher Zain. Alhamdulillah, absolutely amazing track. Always gives me goosebumps. I hope you enjoyed that. We're back live. You're listening to the Friday Night Prime Show, and my special guest this evening is Safina Akhtar from the Bright Bambini Montessori Nursery. I hope I pronounced that again correctly. You can tell me if I haven't, Safina. You can call the show on 01733 602 133, or you can text the show on 07411 191 062. And I'll probably say that too quickly. You can also comment on our live streams. Safina's just been sharing the story of a remarkable woman who set up this Montessori nursery and the approach with it as well. And I have to say, it was giving me goosebumps, and I've learned a lot, Safina. So really enjoying talking to you this evening. Can I ask you, what were the biggest challenges for you then early on? So you've gone from, your husband essentially saying to you, you should, set up your own nursery, and you've gone, all right, I'll do that. But of course, we know in business and in life, it's not as simple as that. So, can you share some of the early challenges that you had?
I think one of my challenges, which reflecting back with me homeschooling at the moment, is we don't get taught literacy finance. So you can go through whole of your primary and secondary, even your degree life, and not learn about literacy finance. It's not a subject. So when it comes to business and not having any idea of literacy finance, it doesn't become a business, it becomes a hobby. Mm-hmm. So my business was more like a hobby where I didn't know how to do marketing. I didn't know, even how to have accounts. I didn't know any of that. I didn't have interest in that. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. I did do well in maths, but did I have interest in that side? No. All I wanted to do is open a nursery and look after the children. Yeah, of course. That's the part I wanted.
That's it.
So for me, I think the challenges were around the business finance side and how to put the word out, or how to show the passion of how Montessori is so beneficial for the child without them thinking that I'm in it for the money. So it really does get challenging from that perspective. And obviously my academia was around nursing. So I had to relearn the Montessori as a diploma, which I did. Studied SEND level 3, and then obviously learned the EYFS, learn absolutely everything, all the statutory requirements, the Ofsted requirements. So there was kind of two sides to it, which I had to learn from all aspects.
And
really.
I'm assuming quite quickly.
Quite quickly, very quickly. So within a year we'd opened. Yeah. Okay.
And so you've opened, and was there a moment where, of course you've got the administration side, the law, and you've got your children, etc., all that. There must have been a moment where you realised, this is working.
Yeah. Yeah. It was when the second year appeared, and the word by mouth, Peter is beautiful for that. You say one thing, you can whisper it. And somehow
it's going to go far. It's going to go really far.
Sometimes Glaston Street knows, and you live in West Town. So from that perspective, it's brilliant. Yeah. Because it became a little effortless. So come second year in, and when we were becoming four, it was a wow moment, because I felt what originally started with me, my siblings' children, my friends' children. Literally, there was only 7 children in that whole year, and and 3 staff. You could imagine how much deficit we were in financially. So it was a wow moment that I may actually get paid one day while I'm doing my passion.
Yeah, wow. So I guess with that, you then I guess you're balancing your business, your hobby stroke business, and then obviously you got staff, you got children. And what was it like then balancing business and the needs of business, and also with childcare? How did you manage that?
It's always tricky, because when you're doing something out of passion, you don't really look too much into accounts, and you really don't look at too much on the business. But then I've recently had a mentor, and I've learned through my mentor to grow a business and to serve the community will mean to take a step back to some level and give that time to see how you can manage the business side of things so that they can work in hand
Yeah.
and you can move onwards and upwards to support families, and then also branch out to other opportunities for these families and not keep it as niche as just childcare, because what we find in the nursery is that these families need a lot of support. I know we're going to talk about autism a bit later, but that's just one example where these families are struggling to have support beyond just dropping their child off. They need it too. The parents need that support. So we've got we've got ideas now that will not only push the business, but it work hand in hand in developing support for the families of Peterborough, inshallah.
Amazing. Looking forward to learning more about that. You're absolutely right. I mean, we're living in a cost of living crisis, which is only going to get worse. And so you have families, who are unable to even buy new clothes and sometimes struggle to buy the food and essentials that they need for the children. And then you've got a nursery which they go to. They must be grateful for that, knowing that they're in a safe environment. We'll definitely explore this in the second half of the show. You're listening to Friday Night Prime live on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. I'm in the studio with the lovely Safina Akhtar from Bright Bambini Nursery.
Stay
We will
tuned
speak
to
to you after
Salam
these adverts.
Radio after this short ad break.
At Master's Pharmacy, we put your health and convenience first. We offer free blood pressure checks and blister-packed medication. With our free same-day prescription delivery service, you can have your medication when you need it. We also offer travel vaccinations, including Hajj and Umrah, along with other services to meet all your pharmacy needs. For more information, contact Master's Pharmacy on 01733 567 208 or visit us at 303 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PH.
For family fun with a difference, visit the Q Club, Cowgate in Peterborough, and enjoy snooker, pool and darts, simulators and more. Plus, the Q Club serves quality food, delicious desserts and refreshing drinks in the heated Smoke and Mirrors garden. Open from 4:30 until midnight each Tuesday to Thursday, and with extended hours Fridays and Saturdays. Follow the Q Club on Instagram and Facebook, or just drop in PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 913 607.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakeinn.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Imagine building a home in Jannah. You can make that happen right now, a reward worth every penny. The Peterborough Muslim Community Initiative, that's PMCI, urgently needs £350,000 to buy a disused pub and transform it into a place of iman, prayer and support. Please give generously to make this happen. Donate now at pmci.org.uk. You can also find us on Launch Good.
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Welcome back to Friday Night Prime on Salam Radio. I'm your host, and tonight we've been speaking to Safina Akhtar from Bright Bambini Montessori. If you've just tuned in, you can catch up with the first half on YouTube. Just search for Friday Night Prime Salam Radio and you will see that. And Safina has been sharing some amazing, inspirational journey and people she's been involved with. And of course, we've learned a lot about Montessori. So let's tap back into that as well. So how would you say your business has evolved over time?
It's difficult to say, because for me, evolve would mean probably different perspective. So from a business perspective, we've done really well. So we used to have one nursery. So our nursery is based in Alexandra Road, adjacent to IQ Plus Centre. 2 years ago, we were asked to open another Montessori in East Community Centre.
Okay.
And we took on that project, and it's been 2 years now, and it's running really well now. It does take 2 years to get the reputation, because like I say, a lot of our clients have come through word by mouth. So we've really developed business-wise. But I think the greatest achievement, I would say, is how we go above and beyond just childcare for our parents. Most of my parents have my private number. And so for me, I think the way I've grown to serve the community is greater than just childcare itself. I know my children and I know their parents, and we talk and we work things out and we develop them in as a family, as a community. And I think for me that is growth.
That's wonderful. We've just had a text coming in from Sarah. Sarah says she's really enjoying the show, very inspirational from you, Safina, so thanks for that. She's asked the question, she said, what have you learned as a leader?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm actually doing my level 7 leadership. So I'd say I'm in the learning process, Sarah. And I believe leadership is something you're always learning, because it means managing people, right? And managing people means managing different personalities. So I feel my leadership skills has been strengthened by my character that the Prophet ﷺ taught us, that I've not come to this world but to teach you character, right? So I think for me, leadership is to maintain that sunnah of keeping your character of the sunnah. And when you keep that and you start respecting everyone's characters and not trying to change them because you're the leader, so this is how it is. For example, we've got one staff member who forgets things. It's absolutely okay that she gets a pen and paper and she writes things and keeps it on her. You know, she doesn't have to remember everything, and that's not what, and that won't put her down in her senior leadership skills. It just means that's her need. So it's being able to see every individual, whether they're a parent, whether they're a child, whether they're a staff member, as individual beings, accepting them for who they are and working with their qualities.
And has that been tough for you? I mean, look, you're running the business. Thanks for the question, Sarah. I really appreciate it. You're running a business, you've got multiple personalities, you've got lots of children, you've got your parents, you know, you've got your personal phone number, you're managing it, and then you've had a mentor who's also said you need to step back a little bit and look at your business. Do you find it's helped you as a leader to just step back when you've been in the thick of it so much to see, actually, hold on, there is more ways we can help the future children that come to see us?
Yes, absolutely. And I feel some of that is... it will always be my baby, right? So for me, the Montessori settings will be my baby. And it's very difficult to step back in the sense that you're giving that amanat to other people.
Yeah, I mean, you've built it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. I totally understand that.
So I think the important thing is when I recruit, we have a very strict recruitment policy where they come in for 3 months. They have to align with our values or it's time to leave.
So that's a probationary period, is it?
Yes, it is. So they have things they have to fulfill in that time. And some would say from a business perspective, that doesn't look good, that your staff you have a big staff turnaround. For me, it's not to look good. For me, it's about the child, right? So being able to...
And having that cultural fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that value.
Yep.
Because like I say, to step back, I have to 100% trust my staff that they are me when I'm not there.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how I manage it now. I'm very lucky, alhamdulillah, both of my deputies. I also have another manager working as an area manager alongside me now. And all three of them, alhamdulillah, they've come on board on my ship.
Wonderful.
And sailing with
has
me.
that helped to scale your organisation? That responsibility now being shared between 3-4 of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that is the best thing you can do as a leader, to be able to. The best leadership I feel is not doing everything yourself, but giving other people the opportunity, empowering them.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. So, what does a great early years environment now look like? Given you have all these people, what would you say a great environment would look like for early years?
Well, what Montessori says, as a quote, is, I know the child is ready when, it won't be word by word, but she says, as a teacher or as an advocate for your children, you know your child is ready when they don't need you.
Well, that's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, when they don't need you. So when you do give them that space to try to put their shoes on and try again, and you make them feel they can try, they can, or you give them a voice, so that you're in the classroom. And democracy, these are all British values.
Yeah.
They're part of British values now, as you know, is in every business. But in nurseries, it's very strong in a statutory requirement to teach children British values. So having that democracy of choosing, what would you like to pick up? Having an environment that is pre-prepared, so they don't have to be led by an adult. And I'm sure everyone's heard of the child-led approach, which Montessori is known for. And I've had parents say to me, "Oh, it sounds very barbaric. They're just running around. They can do what they want." That's what they see it as. And I was
quite
like,
strong, isn't it?
Yeah, not quite like that. So what it really means is the environment's pre-prepared. So anything they touch, the teachers already thought that, yes, this is the learning goal here, and this is their play, and this is their curiosity approach, and this is how their child's going to develop. We don't even do the hard work. Montessori left us with all the resources, from English, maths, understanding the world. It's all there, sensorial. All we have to do is prepare those resources, have them, and understand how you work with them, and let children be free to use them and explore them and develop them, and just pop in and out to support that learning. So from my perspective of what early years is and the best environment is allowing the child and believing in the child that whatever she or church, that is her or his inspiration, and that's what that mind knows best is best for them at that point. And then giving them that time and safeguarding that time. How horrible would it be if if you were doing an assignment and you were studying, you're in the middle of that assignment, someone said to you, "Oh, it's time for coffee now, Kil. Take that off and let's just take you out and let's have a coffee. You need coffee. Come." You're not going to appreciate that coffee, right?
No,
you're going to be
not.
like you just threw me completely off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we believe about the children.
Okay.
They are in the midst of exploring, and maybe in their mind like a scientific development or a breakthrough in their information handling, and we've just come along and said it's time to read a book, it's time to have a snack, it's time for this. You're hindering the learning.
Really interesting. Really, really. Because you're right. I mean, in other settings which I've seen, you're right. It is all adult-led. It's very regimented. And to hear that in your nurseries and that environment, the Montessori environment, they're allowed to be themselves and go exploring, which is actually part of their learning and being able to develop. I mean, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
The sands kissed your feet while the winds brushed your face, and I long to be in the warmth of your embrace. Oh, the tears fell from your eyes as you cried for us, and upon my Lord is all of my trust, 'cause oh, you are a mercy to mankind, and oh, you bring an ease to my mind. Mawlaya salli wa the trials you face, prayers recited, the words left your blessed tongue, changing the world. Your love turns the darkest hearts into the brightest souls, 'cause oh, you are a mercy to mankind, and oh, you bring an ease to my mind. Na na na, 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 na na na. If I could stare into your eyes for just a moment, I would live a million lives, all worth living. To stare into your eyes for just a moment, I would live a million lives, all worth living. Hold me, my beloved, say my name and call me. Hold me, my beloved, 'cause I love you. Hold me, my beloved, say my name and call me. Hold me, my beloved, 'cause I love you. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم.
Mashallah, mashallah. That was absolutely amazing. I hope you enjoyed that. That's Alman Nusrat with Say My Name. Absolutely amazing track. It always gives me goosebumps. And I'm sure you enjoyed it in the studio
That
as
was
well, Serena.
lovely.
Mashallah. He's got such an amazing voice. You know, he came to Peterborough at an event and completely blew my mind. It was amazing in a live band, and you know his nasheeds are outstanding, mashallah. Right, let's turn into an important area: supporting children with autism. How common is autism in young children today that you come across in your nursery environment, or where parents are having conversations with you, knowing that you're supporting young people?
So, firstly, it's important to know and understand what autism is, and it is such a broad spectrum. So, I think a lot of people would know autism to the high end, the high end of the signs that they see. But there's also the more minor version as well, and it's all important to address at their own level, at their period of as they develop. The important thing is, I want to use the word develop, because although a child has autism, they are still developing.
Yeah.
How common is it? It's getting more and more common. More and more common. We opened our first nursery 8 years ago, and we had one child out of. By the second year, when we were full, we had one child for every 30 children. We have about 3 children to 4 children every 30 children now, as a rough guide. So that if it was 3 children, 30, that would be 10%, right? So 10%, and yes, it is definitely out there and more recognised and accepted and worked on to support them in a particular way.
And given your background working in the NHS, of course now with the nurseries, would you say it's because there are systems now in place that are where they can recognise autism much more earlier? That's why we see it so prevalent now.
I would say yes, and the reason I would say this is because recently, in the last 5 years, and even before that, the government started recognising what we mentioned about 0 to 5 being the most important years of a child's life. So about 7 years ago, there was huge work put in place and training put in place to catch things in early years. Because if we can narrow the gap in early years from the 0 to 5 years, there's a greater chance that it will significantly reduce, or it will be well managed for primary life and secondary life and give them the highest impact of in educational development. So I feel with all this government push and training and support and having the early support pathway, which we call it in early years education, has really supported the professionals to recognise it, and also then there to be a system, to put it in the system and to get all the umbrella approach of all the multi-professionals involved to give that child the best start in life, and that's management support for their future.
That's really, really good. I mean, look, we're sat here with British Asians, and I can tell you myself that I've seen, and now I've heard from friends and family members where they'll say, yeah, I've got it's not uncommon anymore for someone to say to me, my daughter has autism or my son has autism. And there's something you said earlier on in the show when you were talking about Montessori, and she said, when you said 100 years ago, when she was looking at these children who were neurodivergent, and they were essentially excluded from normal environments because they felt like these children are not going to develop, so they're going to be, as you mentioned, stated at the time, they were retarded. But when you come from an Asian background, what I've been learning over the last 15 to probably 18 years now is because there's been such a culture change, the first generation Asians that came to this country absolutely have no idea what autism is, okay? And so it takes a lot of time to explain to a first generation parent what that is. And I find that one of the ways that I was able to do that was I would say to a parent, like, so my child's mind is in a room, he's safe, but the door's locked and we're looking for the key to unlock it. Because the only way I could explain it, that this is because they would say, oh, but he's fine. Look at him, he's really quiet and he's really well behaved. And you're like, yeah, you don't kind of get it. In your mind, right? So you're like, okay, let me try and explain this to you. This is what this is. It's the neurodivergent, it's in their head, it's in their mind. You try to explain it in simple ways. And what I learned from some of my friends is that generation are, because they don't understand, they would just use the word boggle, which means crazy or stupid, right? And so because they don't understand, they put that label on. And so they're like, well, okay, say they've got 2 or 3 children, they're like, okay, those 2 are fine, but he's got one who's boggled, right? And so they kind of limit their mind into how that child could actually ever develop, right? And this is happening in the sub-Indian continent, right across India, Pakistan, etc. When I speak to people from all different ethnic backgrounds, especially Asians, though, and they'll tell you it's very similar. Sri Lanka, Burma, all these countries, because they don't understand. But it's also very prevalent in those countries now as well, because they're picking it up. And so I feel like we're in this generation where we're having to explain backwards while we're learning ourselves to then help the current generation to equip them in the best way we can possibly, and then we're trying to help people in the future. So with that all in mind, you will have a parent will come to your nursery with a child who hasn't had the support they should have had before they're 4 years old. How do you deal with that from a cultural perspective, where trying to be fair to the parents here, which is they're trying their best, but they don't actually understand. So they come to your nursery and they want to they seek assistance and say, okay, can you help us with our child because we don't know what to do. How does that, what's your approach in that situation, given the cultural scenario at play as well?
Yes, it is common. It is common for our community not to fully acknowledge the extent of the child's needs, if we call it that, it can be recognised because it's such an early age as behavioural as well. Where you gave the example of the quiet child, but then you also get a lot of children that can be hyperactive. And will not sit in one place, and their mind is very busy. So you get that side where then they get labelled as, naughty, or behavioural concerns, and then they'll get questioned. Do you not discipline him? Do you not tell him? So you get that side as well. A lot of parents, it's sad to say, do not feel comfortable in their communities. A lot of parents have come up to me and said, please don't tell anyone.
We don't want everybody to know.
Yeah, no,
you are right. This is really common.
And of course we wouldn't.
No.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
confidential.
So-
but the fact they feel a need
Yeah.
to say that just shows how much they are
Fearful.
isolated in
yeah.
the community.
Yeah.
That they, you have parents that say, oh, I don't go out. I don't go to events. I don't go to these family events or community events, and I don't go to, charity events. I wouldn't take, because I can't take my child. I'll be looked at. I'll be watched. I'll be seen, and I'll have two things to deal with: the people looking at me and
Yeah.
staring at me, or giving advice.
Yeah.
Everyone's a psychologist
All of a sudden,
sometimes.
yeah, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. I've spoken to people who've told me that they'll have a child with autism and a learning difficulty, and as soon as they have somebody come over to their house, for whatever reason, they'll hide the child. So the child will go into another room and just do what you want, right? And I'm like, yeah, you are affecting this child dramatically. You have no idea what you're doing right now, because that child is so young. They need you more than you actually realise. And I was thinking about what you said about the 0 to 5. That crucial learning period is exactly the same with children with autism. It's what journey are you going on with them as a parent? And it saddens me that because of that shame culture, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the shame culture.
Yeah.
But because this is so open now, I find now a lot of parents who I speak to are like, he has autism and it's fine. But there are, like you said, there's pockets of people living isolated here in Peterborough, and they are not taking a child out anywhere. So the child is not seeing new things or new sounds or touching new sensory things, etc. So when they do eventually come out, you don't know how they're going to react, because maybe you've just kept them at home and all they've seen is this is the world.
Yeah.
And it saddens me, but also at the same token, I'm like, we really need to work on this as a community. We need to understand that because the issue is, it's a hidden disability. If, for example, the child was in a wheelchair, completely different, as you know. You're like, oh yeah, that's what we understand, because they can't see it. They are unable to support that person in the correct way.
I mean, it's really important to just reiterate that it's definitely not the parent's fault. It's a community concern rather than the individual parent.
I agree, totally.
They should not be in a position where they do not feel comfortable, where they do not feel supported by the community, where they do not feel they can manage the situation, or they're going to be judged, or someone's going to say something, or all this. They shouldn't have to go through that feeling, because the actual parent's isolated too.
Yeah.
She's a normal human, wants to be out there. Humans are designed to be in communities. There's no human that wants to be in the COVID days. No, absolutely
I agree
not.
with you. So with that all in mind, a parent can they contact your nursery and have that conversation with you, and where they can just offload and try and see if there's something that you guys can help with?
So the way we work with our nursery is our parents that are signed up, we do a 6-weekly plan. So every 6 weeks we sit down with them and we do something called the graduate approach, where we sit down and we review the whole situation, and they talk to us about things that we can then give them advice on. They then can go away and try that advice, and then we'll revisit that advice. But of course they can, in between, see us or text us or call us and say, look, that's not working, and then we'd give them a device. So it's always ongoing on a daily basis or a weekly basis.
Absolutely amazing. Safina, I can't believe we've run out of time now.
Oh.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you
It's
for
really,
inviting
really
me.
been insightful conversation.
I'm glad.
You've been listening to Friday Night Prime on Salam Radio with me, Akil Khalil. Thank you to our guest, Safina Akhtar, and to all of you listening on 106.2 FM online and across our live stream. If you'd like to catch up, head over to salamradio.co.uk, search for us on YouTube. You'll find this episode of Friday Night Prime live there. And if you have a child, if you need some support, of course you can get in touch with Bright Bambini Montessori. Just give them a Google and all their information will be available at that time. Until next time then, it's Assalamu Alaikum and have a wonderful evening.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Could you spare a few hours each month to provide support to people who are going through